Good evening. We're going to try this again, guys. Good evening. We're going to talk about immigration tonight. We have less than an hour to talk about it. We had some technical difficulties 30 minutes ago, but we're going live again. If you're just joining, my name is David. I'm an immigration attorney in Baton Rouge. We're talking immigration. We can talk criminal defense. We can talk all of it. Lots going on in the world. Lots news. If you follow me, if you don't follow me, join in. Click a follow. We'll talk about immigration. If you're wondering about what it is, what it's about, what's really happening, a lot of people don't know. Good evening. What's up, guys? Tell me where you're watching from. If you're just joining, go ahead and share this live, like this live, and tell me where you're watching from, guys. North Carolina, love it. Thank you for following me, Onisha. Yes, I am back. What's up, Vika? Sorry, we had some technical difficulties earlier. Thank you for joining, guys. Give me a follow. Only Jesus. Estaba aquí. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Dios te bendiga. Soy tu cliente. Bueno, qué bien. La Place, Louisiana, Chanel. Love it. Right? Very close to us. How are you doing? Chanel Garcia. Thank you for following me. MG's in BTR at the airport. Love it. Thank you guys for just joining and following me. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We're live on TikTok. We are here to answer your immigration questions or talk about some criminal defense. Maybe we could talk about the Lindsay trial, whatever you guys want to talk about. Let's go. Thank you for joining, guys. Tell me, go ahead if you got any questions. You are more than welcome to ask now. Somebody asked on Instagram, and habeas after report and recommendations, how many days for a decision? It depends on the location. So here in Louisiana, when we get a report and recommendation from a magistrate judge, then let's say it was a good decision, right? Let's say that the magistrate judge recommended release for the person or recommended that they should get a bond hearing. Then the district judge, who is in charge, the federal judge, is then going to have to make a decision. But the opposing party, like the prosecution or the government, they have to they have time to respond. They get 14 days or so to be able to respond. At least that's the way it here is here in Louisiana to respond to the report and recommendation. We get to make also a reply after that, and then the judge makes a decision. There is no clear cut rule when that decision has to be had. And that's unfortunate because it's very frustrating because we wait for so long for anything to happen, right? But usually you'll see a 14-day window for an opposition. If no opposition, then we file a motion for summary judgment arguing that it should be accepted at that point. So depends on how it goes, but usually that's what it is. Vikas asks on Facebook, yes, my question is how long is a renewal process for a 10-year green card? My case was sent in February and fingerprints done a few weeks. Because obviously, since you're our client, it's been a crapshoot on green card renewals on 10 years, on 2 years. If you're doing a removal conditions or you're doing just a straight renewal, it's been a crapshoot with USCIS because they're so inundated with work, but also the way that they're trying to process things with this administration, they are um, overcompensating in many ways and making it way more complicated. So what I would tell you is I don't know. There is a current processing times, and we haven't hit that number yet. Once the current processing times comes to pass, we can do a USCIS inquiry. Then after that, we can file suit on a mandamus, which I've done many times. RP on TikTok saying, "What's up?" See, man, I told you I was going to come on again, and I did. So there you go. Oftentimes people don't get to see that. Prob says for a VAWA pending person, there is a chance for good decision in Louisiana. There could be, right? The reality is, how were they detained? How were they re-detained? Were they released on parole? Did they get an OREC, which is an order of release? Were they out on bond? What was the reason why? What was the problem? And so that's something that we need to first figure out, and then from there. Prob, if you're our client, great. We wouldn't take a case if we don't think that there's a possibility to win. Obviously, there's no guarantee that a case is going to be won, but I can tell you that from my office, my lawyers, we don't take cases that we don't think we're going to win. Criminal defense is a little bit more difficult because sometimes we have a long road ahead, and winning a case in criminal defense is uh, is interpreted in different ways, right? For how someone wins a case, right? That's the real question. So Krish asks, any chance of a 485 marriage interview waiver in 2026? It has happened, and it's happened a couple of times, and I hope it happens a lot more, but the percentage is way down. If you ask me based on a percentage, how often that would happen, I would say probably, 90 to 95% of the time you're gonna get an interview. 5% of the time, you're gonna get a waiver on a 485. That's just reality. That's just the way it is. But I have seen cases that are waived. I haven't had a waiver in the past 12 months of an interview, but I have lawyers and I know lawyers that have. So, guys, if you're just joining, go ahead in the comments. I'd love for you to tell me where you're watching from. If it's from Colorado or from Texas or from New York, I'd love to understand that. If you haven't followed me before, my name is David Rosa. I'm an immigration and criminal defense attorney out of Louisiana, and I practice in all 50 states. We're live on Facebook. If you're on Facebook tonight, if you're on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok, or if you haven't before, go ahead and put in the comments where you're watching from or how you came to us. I'd love to be able to know and to see you. Also, go ahead and follow us if your For You page is sending you to us to be able to get this kind of information for immigration or criminal defense. And go ahead and share this live, and we appreciate it. Lilo asks, "Hello, I am from an F3, and he's not following me." Guys, if you're going to ask me a question on live, you got to follow me. You got to follow me. Hey, Hamid, how's it going? Thank you for watching from Shreveport. Love it. New Jersey. Wow. Guys, if you're just on here, share this live, like this live, and follow us on the live. You guys, if some of you who follow me see that I put out content almost daily, new information that comes out. So go ahead and do that. Beatrice says, is the first consultation with you guys free? It depends, Beatrice. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It depends on the complexity of the case. I'm about to apply for U.S. citizenship and would like legal assistance throughout the process. Well, Beatrice came to us from Reels, and let me tell you something, Beatrice. 100% you want to get an immigration attorney, and it doesn't even have to be me. It's fine. Do I think that we're the best around? Yes. Do I think that my staff and my attorneys work harder and want to make sure that our clients have the best experience possible? 1,000%. But the reality is that you got to feel comfortable about that. Something like that, if you got an N-400, there's no criminal history, then you're not going to have a consultation fee. That's not going to be an issue. So you don't have to worry about that. What I will tell you is go ahead and send us a message, send us a DM, or you can call my office tomorrow or send me a message, and tell me your email, your phone number, and those kind of things. Um, and we can reach out to you in the morning. Obviously, we're not open tonight. It's 8:12 p.m. Send me a DM. You can send me a message and tell me what kind of case you're applying for, or you can call my office at 225-478-1111. 225-478-1111. Guys, you guys can follow us along as well. But if you send my a DM, my intake team, they go through our DMs every single morning in the night. They'll go through it. They'll send you a message. They can set it up. Everything can be done by video. A simple N-400, some case like that we've got to beef up and train you to be prepared for the interview and the exam. Make sure everything's correct about your time and presence in your state. Make sure your taxes. Make sure you understand all the questions. You don't have any issues. Then it's not an issue. We can certainly help you doing that. And just send me a DM, and that's fine. Secondary inspection at a port of entry considered a detention for naturalization or green card purposes, just a standard verification of documents. Not at all. So if you are detained, you are not free to go. That means you would be in a jail or in a detention center, something like that. But if you went through secondary inspection and they asked you more questions when you came into a port of entry, a B2, and they said, where are you coming from? How long are you going to stay? Do you have any family here? Do you have a return ticket? That is not detention. So you don't have to worry about that. Thank you for that question. Uh, Aditya. Slash, you can certainly ask questions here. This is where you want to ask questions. Ricardo from Boston, what's up, bud? If you're not following us, go ahead and follow us here. I-130 already approved before applying 45. How USCIS will treat the case? Chris, it's going to be fine, right? As long as you have an I-130 approved, bona fide, and you've got sponsor docs and all that's good, you'll be fine. Listen, if Yari is asking on TikTok and you're not following me, guys, on TikTok and everywhere else, if you're going to ask me questions, you must follow me. It's my own rule. It helps the algorithm. It helps me to reach as many people as possible, to help as many people as possible. That is our mission in my firm, is to get to as many people as possible and scale as large as possible to be able to provide excellent service to as many people as possible. Beatrice, more than likely, yes. The answer is probably yes. She will be a U.S. citizen. I need to look at, I can't technically I can't give you legal advice because you're not my client over a video. More than likely, yes. This is probably something that's going to be able to be done. Let's look. If I use advanced parole, can I apply for a waiver? Yari, are you going to follow me? You got to follow me, bud. Marilyn Monroe asked, 601 waiver, what's the processing time? Right now, about 26 months. Crystal Campos, seen you many times before. Hello from Colorado. Lucas, yeah, I would think that what I would do is I would first look at a congressional inquiry on military PIP. He asked, military PIP over 15 months is a good idea to sue the USCIS. Problem is, they're undocumented, and you're looking to get a parole document to do an adjustment of status. What I would want to say is um, tell your attorney to kind of guide you in the way to get a congressional inquiry. Thank you, Marilyn Monroe, for telling me where you're watching from, Florida. State says, "Is there's there is no stopping a third country deportation." It depends, but it's very difficult right now. Orina Mixie says, "Please tell us about the 75 country visa pause. It has been lifted right now. We're waiting to see if they appeal, but right now we're good to go. Give me a follow." MH says, "I have a master hearing in 2 weeks. Is it too late to consult with you?" The answer is no, it is definitely not too late. You got to go ahead and give us go ahead and click get a quote and see if we can help. Justin says, "Hello, my father's a client of your law firm. Thank you. Praying for a 42B win soon." Justin, so am I, bud. And the reality is that these are tough cases to win. Um, I'm not trying to say there's no hope. I don't know the case specifically, but I can tell you that my staff work really hard and they're going to do their best. If they win, that's great. If they don't, it is sad in the way the administration is now today and the way that court is now. But I pray for the best, bud. I pray for the best. I agree. This is something that I take dear to my heart. Sorry, guys. It's late. Splash says, I have and this is asked on Instagram. I have an approved I-130, but a case in court, but all my does is keep retiring and getting transfers. What do I do? An EAD has expired. First of all, Splash, if you don't have an attorney, you need to get an attorney. You must get an attorney. That's the first thing you need to do. Secondly, you need to be able to file your 485 in court if you have a legal entry, like you entered on a B1 or on a B2 or an F1, and then beef up your case. But I say get an attorney. All right, let's see. Guys, thank you for following me over here. Kaylin says, end or send everything after it ends, even though the May 2026 policy is implemented. So the May 2026 policy has not been implemented 100% across the board, right? Them asking questions about why you overstayed your visa or why it took so long to file or why didn't you go back to your country. That's not happening in every single interview, but you should be prepared for that. You should be prepared for those questions. And so I would say, yes, you should prepare for those. But this is the time, guys, and it doesn't have to be me, but this is the time that you should be hiring an attorney. This is what we do. I mean, I sit, my staff, my attorneys in our firm, we're 90 people. This is what we do all day, every day long. One of the newer attorneys, Will, who's been practicing for 10 years in my firm, every week he is in USCIS interviews. Every week he is dealing with agents, dealing with how to deal with these people. You know, the reality is, could I change my own oil? Yes. Could I do it as great as a guy who changes oil every single day? The answer is no. Right? The answer is no. And so you really, really need to think about that. And when I tell people, when clients call and they say, "Well, I can't really afford that," I'm like, "Well, what's the price of making sure that you are safe when it comes to immigration?" That's the real question, right? Splash. The reality is, like I'm telling you, you need to get an attorney. Ricardo asks, can adjustment of status for K1 be filed online or still paper filing? Everything is moving online. Everything is moving online, Ricardo. As of September, they're moving everything online, so it's gonna be filed online. Go ahead and click a DM if you're looking for help, if you want an immigration attorney to help, this is certainly something that we can help. What do we got, guys? What do we got? I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up to all this. Beatrice, you definitely do not have to come into our office. Everything can be done virtual. Where are you located, Beatrice? Hey, Sean, what's up, buddy? Go ahead and send me a message, Beatrice. You can also email me at David at Rosas, ROZASLAW.com. This is certainly something we can help you with. You do not have to come in our office. Many of my clients live all over the world, so it's not necessarily something that has to be done in person. Elvin is saying wet reckless as a green card holder, red flag. Are you asking like you got a reckless charge? If you've got a driving, um, you know, under reckless conditions or whatever, depending on where you're at in Louisiana, it's called reckless operation of a vehicle. It's a red flag if you're applying for citizenship within that 3-year or the 5-year, but it can be overcome, right? It's a traffic violation, depends on whether it was a full criminal violation, and so it depends on that what that is. Yeah, Beatrice, not a problem. Send me an email, David at rosaslaw.com. Certainly some can help. I've had many clients in Destrehan over the years. Certainly something I'm willing to help you with. SS says, what if you have a fraud in your old DACA case and it affects new married case now? You're not really giving me as much information as I need in this, but depending on what type of fraud is, guys, if you get caught for marriage fraud, you're never going to be able to get an immigration benefit in the United States, especially under this administration. You can get that goodbye. So if you're even thinking of that, don't. If you guys have lied for some immigration benefit, don't even waste your time right now. I'm just telling you straight up, don't. Don't try to apply for something. There are so many attorneys, shady notarios who are applying for things that people and have been for the last 10 years. And listen, guys, I've always said this since I became an attorney. When I heard of lawyers applying for asylum, but their clients weren't really, persecuted, but they wanted to do it so they can get into a 42B because they had hardship. I always thought it was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And it's starting to bite people in the ass now because people are starting to suffer the consequences of some file or some filing before. You got the Seattle lawyer who's basically going to eventually get prosecuted for committing massive millions and millions of dollars fraud over VAWA and ruining other VAWA cases of people who have significant trauma and abuse, right? And so with my office over the last 22 years, we don't participate in that. I'm a trial lawyer in criminal defense and immigration. I'm not going to deal with any type of fraud like that, and I will not permit any of the attorneys or the staff to do it either. So that's not going to happen. Elvin says, much appreciated. DUI reduced to wet reckless. Well, that means it came in as a DUI, and that's not great. 6 months probation, 16-day work, no accident, no incident. So that's not a CIMT if it's in Louisiana, which means it's not a crime involving moral turpitude. But under the new rules, when it comes to N-400 and applying for citizenship, it could technically affect your good moral character. It's certainly something that we could beef up. Go ahead and send me a DM or don't hesitate to send me an email at David at Rosas Law, ROZAS law.com, guys. We're pretty slammed in the office, or you can call the office in the morning, 225-478-1111. 225-478-1111. It's 8:26 Central here in Louisiana. I'm not out in New York City right now. We have clients, in all 50 states, but we don't answer the phones 24/7. We are going to move towards that once AI really gets implemented. It's going to help, but not really. So, but you can also send me a DM if you're on TikTok, on Facebook. You can send me an Instagram message or a Facebook message, and I will certainly respond. It'll be either me or one of my staff, and we'll get you to the right place to see if we can help. Renato asks on Facebook, DACA recipient applying for adjustment status through marriage, have been living together for 6 months, but just got married this year. I don't see that being a red flag. How did you enter? That's the question, Renato. How did you enter? Did you use advanced parole or what? Hopefully you already used advanced parole and we don't have that issue when it comes to entering without inspection or the new rule that came through the BIA, which is terrible. Or you entered legally and you have no criminal history. And if that's the case, Renato, you certainly send me a message, and this is something that we can help. The most recent one I did in this situation was out of Los Angeles. Our clients who follow me on TikTok or something like that, I've seen them on here. We help them out, but obviously we help these people like this daily. Oh, you're just an overstay. Yeah, that's certainly something we can help. But guys, this is the thing. In the olden days, what I used to tell people, younger lawyers, when I would train them, and they would say, "Well, what do we do? I don't want this case. It's too complicated. It's too hard. It's hard to win." It's like, look, guys, people don't need lawyers for easy cases. They need lawyers for complex cases. Anybody can jump on ChatGPT or Claude and read how to do a case. But that's not the case anymore. It's not as simple as it was before. Immigration judges are forced to make it much more difficult now. USCIS is forced to deny. That is the baseline is to deny people, and we've got to overcome that. In order to overcome that, right, we need to build up that case. And that's what the 22 years, some of you guys were born less than 22 years ago. 22 years I've spent doing this over and over, fighting for people just like you guys in immigration and criminal defense. Have I lost a lot of cases? Sure. But we also won a lot of cases. So don't try to do it on your own. It's too difficult. Let's see what we got. All right. This guy, I'm sorry, bud. You can't post a million times like that. I'm going to have to mute you. That's too much. John RP, you saw that, right? Man, that's it. That was crazy. I don't see. I don't even know what his question was. Let me go back. I've been cheating on TikTok. Is it safe to go to immigration court for a master calendar hearing? Right now, sort of it is, depending on where you're going. People are still getting detained outside of detention hearings. But guys, I would not be going to immigration court without an immigration attorney. Why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. Hire an immigration attorney. What is it costing? 5 to 10 grand, depending on the immigration attorney. Sometimes 15 grand. I mean, come on. I understand $15,000 is a lot of money, but most attorneys are going to work on payments. If you're looking at 5,000 to 15,000, somewhere in there, right? We can't talk about exact quotes, but if you're somewhere in between 5 and 15 grand, use your brain. If you're somewhere between that and you have to put up half the money and you can pay monthly payments, get an attorney to do it. Get an attorney, guys. Please get an attorney. Alexandra says, if you changed your address recently, can you still apply for citizenship? You can, but you must be in a location, right? It's a requirement. You must have lived in that location for a certain amount of period. You got to do that. So SOS, yes, it's possible to get WebEx. You can file for it, but right now, most immigration judges in the entire country are requiring people to go in person. The lawyer can appear by WebEx, but most are requiring in person. Ricardo says if adjustment of status has been for a K1 hasn't been applied for, should traveling be avoided or travel with the marriage certificate less concerning? Again, Ricardo, I've told you, send me a DM. Let's get it filed. Why wait? Why wait? Seriously. Yes, Renato, I think that DACA is over and over safe to travel without any kind of criminal history or removal orders. But I will tell you, you can look. I represent a woman who was deported, who was picked up out of the southern area of Texas on the border. She was traveling with her pastor and her husband. They were stopped by immigration. She had DACA. She actually had DACA, guys. She had protection. She was put in a removal proceedings. She was detained. She, how can I say this? The lawyer that she had, I think, didn't do a great job. She had DACA. They argue that she had DACA, but I think he could have done some other stuff. But I'm not going to publicly say he did a terrible job. But in my opinion, I think there may have been some things missed. I can't lie about that, right? And she ended up taking voluntary departure. She felt like she had no other means, and she was ultimately deported from this country. Guys, with DACA. Not only was she deported from this country with DACA, then USCIS sent her a notice of intent to rescind her DACA because she left the country. So you got a woman who gets deported from this country with DACA, and they say, "Hey, you left this country, and so you gave up your DACA," which is not true. So, what does that tell you? I'm telling you guys, as an immigration attorney, that I represent this woman trying to get her back in this country. I filed suit in the federal court saying, "Y'all need to bring her back." She had DACA protections, and possibly her lawyer screwed it up. But the reality is that she would not have been detained in the first place had ICE agents done the correct thing. So, are you safe in travel with DACA? To be honest, like most of the time, I would say yes, but this happened, and you need to have fair warning that this could happen to you as well. So, this is actually my client. It's something that actually happened, right? So, I think you guys need to think about that before you travel. Baki says 2 oath ceremonies canceled 9 months passed since the cancellation. Last update, you're processing your case. I'm just going to stop there. File suit, file a mandamus. Hire a lawyer, pay the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand, file suit, and move the case forward. Nina says, very good lawyer. I recommend 100 for the best 5 stars. How are you going to complain about that? Thank you, Nina. Love it. Paul Reynolds says, "Hello, I had an adjustment interview last week, but on my USCIS account, cases are stuck on interview was scheduled. Is that okay?" It's totally okay. That happens all the time. Somebody asked my last question. You are the best lawyer in Louisiana. I'm not going to argue against it. I've heard that the appointment for citizenship interview and test has taken several months. Does this waiting time vary from person to person? It absolutely does. A lot of you guys know I represented Yara on 90 Day Fiance. We got an interview fast on her citizenship exam. We got it super fast. So, I think it's going to go case by case, depending on field office. You're going to be in New Orleans. I'm seeing these happen anywhere from 3 months to 8 months. That's a reasonable amount of time that I'm thinking. You're welcome, guys. Thank you. And if you got questions, if you're looking to hire an attorney, you can certainly DM me. Don't hesitate to do that. Let's move to TikTok on some questions on TikTok. John says, if immigration gives you 3 weeks, can you extend? Depends on what it is. I love that RP is saying, Johnny, stop spamming. Even Crystal Campos says, Johnny, stop spamming. Phone number, guys, 225-478-1111. 225-478-1111. And guys, also you can go ahead and send me an email at David at Rosas, Rozas, my last name. Look up here. rosaslaw.com. David at rosaslaw.com. We're an immigration firm with over 90 employees, 14 attorneys. We do USCIS, removal defense, family law, and criminal defense. But a big emphasis on removal defense and a big emphasis on USCIS. You can send us a DM, you can send us an email. It's certainly something that we can help you with. But also 225-478-1111. I already blocked Johnny. I don't see him anymore, RP. Are there I-751 approvals lately? Yes. We're going to file soon jointly with my spouse. Lots of joint evidence. Dominique, why in the world would you not hire an attorney to get that done? Give me a follow. Is it safe for my husband to apply for citizenship? He's a resident for 3 years now. My kids. Well, Val, I'd like to know, well, you need to give me a follow, right? But does he have criminal history? What's the issue? Just for fun says thoughts on joint motion to reopen. I think it's going to be really tough right now. Give me a follow, guys. It is 90 days for citizenship. User says, is it unsafe to travel with school at airport as a 16-year-old immigrant student with an expired visa? And the answer is 100% yes, it's unsafe. 100% yes, it's unsafe. DACA is deferred action. Doesn't stop at RP. I'm telling you, look her up. She's been deported. Lanisha, I don't think the global immigration pause is permanent, guys. I don't think that's the case. Give me a follow. I think this is just something that because they're overloaded and they don't really know what to do and they can't stand losing in federal court. That's the honest truth. Ed, Texas says DUI dismissed 5 years. Can I travel? I don't know. Are you a green card holder? Your green card holder, probably so. If you're not a green card holder or a U.S. citizen in the United States, I do not think you should be traveling, period. Does a pending removal have anything to do with DACA delay? It could, but I think most of our DACA delays are being done on purpose because they want you to get out of status so you can get NTA, and then you have to deal with that. Queen asks, guys, if you're going to ask me a question on TikTok, if you're going to ask me a question anywhere, give me a follow, guys. Come on. It helps the algorithm. It allows us to get to more people. How do I schedule a consultation as soon as possible? Level up, Autoglass, ask me. You just need to click on me, get a quote, click on David Rose out there, click a follow, get a quote, and then you can schedule a consultation with me. Jessica says, can you file a habeas corpus even if you enter the U.S. without inspection? You most certainly can. That's mainly the habeas that we file. But here in Louisiana, it's much more difficult because it's taking a long time for that due process argument. They've already foreclosed the argument of just normal. And that's going to be taken up eventually, in my opinion, at the U.S. Supreme Court. But right now, we're arguing due process, and it's being re-argued at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is basically like an appeals court, right? And we're at the district level. Above that is the appeal level, and then above that is the U.S. Supreme Court. So we're arguing at the district level right now. So just to kind of get you guys to understand immigration, right? You have immigration court where you go and the judge says, "Hey, you need to leave this country." So then you argue why you shouldn't have to leave. Maybe you apply for cancellation or removal. Maybe you apply for adjustment because you're married to a United States citizen. Maybe you apply for asylum because you fear having to go back to your country. Those are the things that happen in immigration court, right? You can either do that while you're detained, meaning in jail, or non-detained. And when you're in non-detained and you go and you attend your hearings, Oftentimes, you might get picked up by ICE and put into detention. You live in Louisiana and you enter without inspection, meaning you crossed the border, right? Or you didn't come in on a visa. Louisiana says you're not eligible for bond. And so we have to file in district court, in federal court, arguing this is a violation of human rights and due process. You should be allowed to get out. So that's we've been arguing about that, and all the circuit courts throughout the United States have been arguing about. And over 2,400 judges have ruled, or 2,400 rulings have favored letting you out. Not 2,400 judges, 2,400 rulings. Over 300 federal judges said you should get a bond. The Fifth Circuit said you shouldn't get a bond if you just enter without inspection. But we created a new argument and said, but it's a violation of due process, and that's being challenged. In the meantime, we're arguing those things, the due process issue, the violation of due process at the district court level. But yes, you can try to do that. It just takes a long time. In Texas, the same, Jasmine, is the Fifth Circuit, right? Same as Louisiana. You're eligible for bond only if a habeas district judge tells you you are. If you entered with a visa, you are eligible for bond. Pearly Gray says, we appreciate you. Thank you, Pearly Gray. Give me a follow. Give me a follow, guys. Gerard says, I have an approved I-130 and I had an RFE on my 485, but it's been 5 months and no update on it. You may be at a level where you want to file a mandamus. That's reality. Rosemary says, what are the wait times after all the papers are sent to USCIS? I don't know what kind of case we're talking about. And Cueto says, my wife has been detained in detention for 9 months and we are still waiting for the habeas. We hired you, but we haven't heard anything habeas corpus in months. Do we keep waiting or what do we do? Two things. Number one, if it's habeas in Louisiana, it's taken forever in Cueto. And lo siento. Estoy diciendo la verdad. Es duro aquí en Louisiana para ganar habeas, ¿ok? Segunda cosa es para llamar mañana para hablar con mis asistentes y diga que quieres hablar con nosotros, con Logan o con yo, con David. And let's talk about your case and see what can be done. We can file an expedite request, but the reality is it's very terrible. And for 9 months, I mean, brother, I couldn't imagine what it feels like to have your wife, and I have a wife, detained for 9 months. I couldn't even imagine, and the idea that anyone is detained under a civil violation for 9 months is an absolute human tragedy in the United States, and anyone who tries to paint it in any other way but a human tragedy is just lying to themselves. We as a human race are gonna have to answer to the horrible separation of families and children that we have done to the 50,000 people a month in the United States since the Trump administration has come into power. It's going to be a huge pain point in this country and, a really dark spot in our history of what we've done to immigrants in this country, and I'm sorry. So, I I feel for you, bud. I mean, I can only have empathy and sympathy because I'm not going through it, but I am married to an immigrant, and I do understand the difficulty in the way that the system is, and so I feel for you. RP, you are completely correct, bud. I couldn't imagine, right? Oh, man, I'm just thinking about having your wife, um, having your wife detained for 9 months. Could you imagine? Like, couldn't even imagine. Guys, if you're just joining me tonight, we're talking about immigration. My name's David Rose. I'm an immigration attorney in Louisiana. I practice in all 50 states. We're going to stay on another little bit a while and answer any questions on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook. Someone on, I think it's Instagram, said, "Sorry, any advice? I'm waiting from the IJ grant I-94, 45 days of scheduling. USCIS officer called and told me they send my case to field office. It's been 30 days, still nothing. I don't have an answer for you." All I can tell you guys, if you're waiting on USCIS and it seems unreasonable, is looking for an immigration attorney to give you to screen the case whether or not you might be a candidate for a writ of mandamus where you file suit against the government and ask them to come up with an answer. Oscar says, "I'm an American citizen and my family would like to help a young mother and her 6-year-old, I'm assuming, who applied for asylum and both have work permits. Is there a pathway for us to help?" There is, and it more is gonna be probably in a financial way, is if someone like that is a young mother with a 6-year-old, and they probably don't have an attorney, and it doesn't have to be me, but it's get an attorney, right? Because oftentimes people apply for asylum by using a notario, which is a person who's not a lawyer, and they charge them a couple $100 and they don't know what they're doing, right? Or maybe they don't have enough money to pay for a reputable firm to get it. And that's the honest truth. Support them through love and compassion and empathy and sympathy, but also keep them safe. But finally, it's help them financially to find an immigration attorney and a viable um, firm that knows what they're doing, that can screen the case and say, "Hey, you shouldn't do this or you should do this." You can certainly send us an email. You can send me an email at david@rosehousewall.com, or you can call my office at 225-478-1111. That's gonna be the best way you're gonna be able to help. Um, the only path to residency is through asylum. If they win asylum, they get residency. That's it. Unless she's, dating a US citizen, then maybe she can apply that way as a spouse of a US citizen. Would a US citizen having drug and gun possession charge for more than 10 years affect anything? Regina, what are we talking about? As a sponsor, give me a follow. Rosemary, you already asked that question. I don't have that answer. If you're doing a permanent residency for your husband, it's usually about 12 to 18 months. I know you're my client, but it's about 12 to 18 months. You're welcome, Oscar. Give us a call, bud. Call us tomorrow, 225-478-1111. You can ask for Marco. It's he's my intake supervisor, and then can kinda guide you through what I think is necessary. You can also send me an email at david@rosehouslaw.com. So, Isela, you asked about 42B. Your husband won. Good. Hopefully, he was our client. He was released. You haven't heard anything more. It's just the left hand needs to know what the right hand's doing. So, court has to notify USCIS that he won, where he can get his green card. Renato says, David, this is about a close friend. If their father had a voluntary departure but was under immigration detention for overstaying and already fulfilled a 10-year bar, do they need to file a waiver for a petition for a green card? Friend is a U.S. citizen. So if the dad left under voluntary departure and's already done the 10-year bar, no. They need to file an I-130 and set for consular process. He's already served that time. Elvin, you're not muted, bud. Wabik, you can certainly renew your green card. But when you have criminal history, guys, when you have criminal history, you really want to get an attorney. Greg, too many highs, bud. See, Estela's talking about, and I know I have another client on here asking about a 42B. That's good. We won your case. Call my office, Estella, tomorrow. Don't hesitate to call and figure out what to do because it may be something where the lawyer can request through DHS to make sure that the file is transferred. It's very difficult. DHS and the immigration judge could care less. But yeah, certainly call my office. Don't hesitate to do that. Tasha is probably laughing at the fact that Greg went crazy. Guys, if you're on here and you're not following me, you got to follow me. You got to share this live. You got to like this live. Hit the like button. Like get it rolling. Aldo, we certainly will consider either a 290B or refiling the waiver. It depends on what it is. Give us a call, 225-478-1111, or certainly send me a message. Man, let me tell you something, RP. DHS and judges do like each other. They're on the same side. They really are. They really are, man. Seriously. Elvin, thank you so much, man. Okay. Regina says, can a U.S. citizen having drugs and guns? Regina, you still haven't followed me. Come on. Guys, if you're just joining, drop in the comments where you're watching from. We got 75, 77, 80, 90, 100 people watching. Tell me where you're watching from. Click a follow. Share this live. I need you to share this live. Get it going. Kick in the algorithm. I'm up late. It's 9 p.m. here. Thank you, Regina. Yes. The answer is yes. Certainly can do that. They may ask, I mean, depending on if there's any immigration issues there as well. I would, if I had a client who had some criminal history, I would certainly hire an immigration attorney. We do this all the time, guys. Some of you have come to my channel because you know that I was on 90 Day Fiance and I represented clients on there. Don't hesitate to hire an attorney. Spend the money to get it done. Elvin's watching from California, in the Bay Area, which is my favorite area in the country, by the way. Favorite area in the country. I've lived many places in the United States. That was my favorite area and still my favorite area in the entire country. And even though I live in New York City now and Louisiana, I still prefer San Francisco over any place in the world. Missouri is beautiful. I went to a St. Louis Cardinals game with my wife. Love it. Seattle is also probably my second favorite. Toronto, I went last year for a conference. I loved it as well. It's beautiful, incredible city. Been to New Jersey many times. Love it. My sister lives in Montclair, which is right outside of Manhattan. Love it. Wisconsin, I have not been. Chicago, what are you talking about, man? I love Chicago. A great Greek restaurant in Chicago. My sister lived in Lincoln Park. I love Chicago. Very cold, ridiculously cold. I will have to say it's ridiculously cold. Where else, guys? Where else are we watching from? Texas. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Jennifer. Not great. Karinka is watching from Florida. I spent many years in Florida. I lived in Orlando. Um, so the best way is going to be whether or not she filed a habeas. Did you guys file a habeas in that case? Thank you, Elvin. Atlanta, love it. Love the Beltline. Love Barcelona. It's one of my favorite tapas restaurants. Big fan. My wife is from Atlanta. Love St. Louis. I'm telling you. I stayed at that Four Seasons. It's very affordable. And I loved the St. Louis Cardinals Stadium. I have to be honest. Gary is from Ireland originally and living in California. Love it. New York in the house. That's what I'm talking about. New York City. Fight out right here, guys. Washington, D.C. One of my favorite sushi restaurants is in Washington, D.C. I love it as well. And I think that Washington, D.C., that's it's not the marina, it's where the wharf. I think it's the wharf in D.C. I love it. Yeah, Jennifer, that's gonna be your only bet, right? That's gonna be your only bet. You can certainly, that's gonna be your best. I don't know if we represent you, but, hopefully we do. Yes, Violetta, that's what I thought, it's the wharf, I love it. They got Bar Taco there, love it, and they have, I stayed at that hotel there, the Pendry. There's a Pendry Hotel in DC. Guys, I've traveled. It is the safest city according to Trump, you're right. Watching from Chicago, love it. Shashi says, if someone has been in the US unlawfully for about 20 years and then leaves under VD, guys, would they still be subject to the 10-year bar? Yes, most certainly will be subject to the 10-year bar. If they later have an approved family petition, they still need to wait 10 years. If they're married to a United States citizen, they can file a 601, or if their parent is a United States citizen or a legal permanent resident, they can file a waiver to waive that 10-year bar. Elvin says, but California ripping out all the business owners, but still the best. I love California, guys. I love California. Yes, Violetta, I have noticed that. I love the Wharf. I was there last year, and I got to be there in a couple of months where my firm is getting an award. I mean, guys, I can't help it. We're getting an award for pro bono, which means free work, combating human trafficking. We had a woman who had been trafficked into the United States unwillingly, was put into prostitution. She became pregnant, had a child, went to an immigration check-in, and they detained her. And so my firm, a firm out of DC, a firm out of New York, and the human trafficking nonprofit organization, we filed a habeas to try to get her out, and we convinced a federal judge in Louisiana to release her. And I have to say, my staff did a great job, and this national organization nominated my firm for this award, and so we're going to be going to DC in a couple of months, and I'm going to be accepting the award for that. So I'm going to take the train down from New York City. So I'm excited about it. MC says, "Hey." Processing time for I-130 if I apply in September, depending on what type of I-130, but it's usually 11 to 18 months, guys. If you're just joining and you're not following me and you're asking questions, you gotta follow, guys. You gotta follow. All right, so you have a US citizen daughter, and I'm responding to Shashi. Is filing family base for her parents. Can the parents still apply for 601A provisional unlawful presence waiver? And the answer is no. So, 601A is a waiver filed here before you leave. And you can only file that if you have a qualifying relative. And the only qualifying relative on a 601A is sideways, which means your wife or husband, or upwards, which means your parents, your mother or your father, not your children. And so, in a rude way, it was a way for them to stop anchor babies, right? So having a kid here and then filing for a waiver. You can't do that. Provisional waivers only go sideways, husbands or wives, or up for parents. That's it. Charmaine says, "Congratulations." Yeah, crazy, huh? Dude, it is crazy. Logan in my office and some of the lawyers like Steven, who we lost recently. Guys, we lost a champion immigration attorney. Steven Stanford is an attorney who worked in my firm. He's 35 years old. He was 35 years old. He died last week. Um, and I haven't been sharing that publicly, but he died last week suddenly. We think he had a heart attack. I haven't found out. His funeral is this Saturday. Stephen was the senior immigration attorney in my firm. He came from public defense. He was a huge champion of the LGBTQ. He was gay and really took to heart representing people who were dealing with persecution in that. Um, and some of you who follow us had Stephen as a lawyer, Stephen as a friend. I mean, dude, this guy, like, I owe so much to Stephen, and my clients owe so much. Let me tell you about Stephen, and I'm gonna deviate from the normal immigration uh, question and answer. Stephen represented a woman from Colombia who was fighting her case in detention. She had been in detention for months, and she was detained. She couldn't get out. She was not eligible for bond. We tried. We through habeas. It wasn't happening. And Stephen convinced the judge to allow her to get out for a couple of days to get her medical exam because she was going to adjust status. Stephen and this client would yell at Stephen. She would complain. She would call our office and say Stephen was at fault. But the bottom line is Stephen picked her up from the detention center. He took her in his own home with his mother, and he housed her for the weekend. His client, an immigrant, and made sure she got the medical appointment, had dinner with her, made sure she had clothes and a place to sleep, and brought her back to the detention center and fought and tried her case and won her case. He won her immigration case. She wrote a big, huge Google review over Stephen after complaining all the time about Stephen. The point I'm trying to make, guys, is in immigration, even though it's a losing prospect in many cases, we have a lot of great people, not just in my firm, but in many firms around the country, many Americans who are working and feel like we're on the right side of history helping people. But I miss Stephen immensely from my firm. It's been it's been hard. Um, it's been hard. So um, if you believe in God, you say a prayer for Stephen that for his soul and for his family and for all of my staff that are heartbroken in the past like week. It's been tough. Um, so sorry. Yeah, tough. You go to my website, roseoutlaw.com, you pull it up, you'll see him. It's Stephen Stanford. You'll see his face, and the dude is like, he started off in public defense. He was a public defender for 5 years, and then just just got really burnt on doing public indigent defense and losing cases where people were getting life in prison. Louisiana is a rough place, guys, for due process. And then he applied for a job with me. Some of his friends worked for me. We're all former public defenders. All of us come from nonprofit and came to work for us and just really like dedicated the last 5 years or 3 years with me. So yeah, rip, RIP. Good dude, man. Some of you had him as a lawyer. Some of you have communicated with him, but say a prayer for him. Someone asked, can I handle EB2, NIWs, RFEs? We certainly can. Go ahead and, like I said, give me a follow, send me a DM, send me an email, david@rosehouslaw.com. Sam says, can you travel domestically with pending DAWA and adjustment of status? Guys, I will let everyone else comment on the comments what the answer is. You should not travel. You should not travel right now. Can you get by? Maybe, but you should not travel. I know this from personal experience. You should not travel right now, period. Guys, if you're just on here, go ahead and click a follow. If you're just joining, go ahead and tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to see it. The Rollin Wolf said he was my lawyer. He helped me win my case 2 months ago. Well, Emily's still there. Our firm is still there, but yes, he died. And yeah, Rollin Wolf, you owe it to Stephen. Strong says, Val was denied 7 days ago for misdemeanor assault charges. Can y'all help me? It's possible. But man, if you got charges like that, you might have a real problem in this administration. Bronx, it says, can you answer my question, please? Please post it again, bud. Fiona says, can you follow me? No. Disha says, green card, spousal green card, I-130 processing time of Canadian citizen. Usually, especially with Canada, 6 to 12 months, but really current processing times are about 11 to 18 months. Diego says, with the pending valid case that was filed about 4 months ago, I just got a letter to depart within 30 days. I have a court date in 2 weeks. How's that looking for people? Ain't looking too good based on what you're telling me. You need to get an immigration attorney ASAP. Send me a DM or call our office tomorrow, 225-478-1111. I mean, Josh says I make you laugh. I mean, dude, I mean, it's reality. It's like not good. Can our case still move forward even if our prior date isn't current? No. Have a pending I-751 for over 4 years. Can I travel and return? You can. If you've got your extension, you got your I-551, all that stuff, I wouldn't sweat it as long as you don't have any criminal history. Make sure you don't miss the interview. Christopher says, I'm from Ghana. I want to make genuine friends from different countries. I'm happy to get to know you, but I'm here. What's up me? I'm sorry. I'm not going to be what's upping you. I just have to tell you the truth. Elvin says, I would DM you, but last question, returning to the country after reckless court requirements. It's going to depend. Each case is going to depend. Shashi says, thank you. You're welcome. Sandy says, "Am I eligible for a U visa if I was involved in a car accident while at work?" No. Yeah, RP says, "You might as well give your bank details." I know, it's like and I spend some time playing with those kind of people where I'm like they're like, "Hey, Jimmy, are you coming?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm on my way." They're like, "Oh, sorry, I texted the wrong person." I'm like, "No, this is Jimmy, you're right. I am coming. Where are you? Are you at the address we talked about?" I love playing with them. It's kinda funny, actually. Salome says, "My parents were given a 221G. What's the next step?" Nothing. Wait. What's the processing time for Afghan asylum cases for approval on payroll, please? Don't know what the payroll part means, and it's a while. Rimala says, "Can I make an appointment with you? How can I make an appointment?" Guys, send me an email, David at Rosas, ROZASLAW.com, or also you can DM me here, Instagram, or Facebook, or all that stuff. I'm a nurse with DACA. I have an appointment September 15th in Juarez. I'm afraid to go. Well, let's talk about it, Karis. Tell me about it. Um, do you have any criminal history? How did you enter in the United States? Are you married to a United States citizen? What's the deal? Tell me a little bit more. Guys, if you're just joining, go ahead and click a follow. We're about to shut down for the night. I got to go golf in the morning. I mean, somebody's got to do it. The Visa Bulletin is moving only in certain categories. If you're just joining, guys, give me a like, share this live, give me a follow. I'm trying to look about Caris to tell me more about the DACA. No criminal record. I'm in the medical field. My spouse filed a family petition for me. How did you enter in the country originally? Mario asked me how long the 601A. It's about 24 months, Mario. Melissa said, "My husband was deported and I filed an I-130 January 26th. I'm a US citizen. After we file the 601A and we have an interview, can we bring the children to interview?" Yes, but it's not a 601A. It's going to be a 601. I'm in my last year of college and want to remain in the country. What are my options? OPT or more college, DK? La Mera, La Mera Paipa says, "Los mejores abogados se los recomiendo." Nice. I'm drinking some Kune Reserve Imperial. I don't know. I need to stop drinking. Savage, congratulations, buddy. Rosemary says, "I agree." Thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate it. 601 for time, 24 months. Man, I'm gaining weight. RP, I'm gaining weight, dude. I gotta do something about it. I gotta do something about it. Melissa, there is no difference between an immigration lawyer and a federal immigration lawyer. The only difference is that some of us practice federal court as well. All immigration is federal, but some lawyers don't file habeas and those kind of things. My firm, we do. I'm a litigation attorney, and I tended I grew up in criminal defense, and so I did a lot of federal law, a lot of federal criminal defense, and a lot of federal litigation. Also, in the entire state of Louisiana, when someone files a habeas pro se, meaning they file it themselves, and in the federal public defender's office, the government decides, hey, we need a lawyer to help them, they ask me, David Rosa. I'm the number one attorney in all Louisiana to do pro bono work for the government when it comes to habeas. We also do private practice habeas. And so my practice is the largest habeas in Louisiana, in the entire state. So we got 50 states. In the state of Louisiana, we do the most habeas. We're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, immigration firm in Louisiana, which then outsets the rest of the country. And I'm not saying that in a cocky way. It's just that's what we do. I'm not RP knows me from the beginning. I just started doing TikTok. I'm not a big TikToker. I'll go months without even TikToking. Mainly, we're just litigants. Mario, I will, bud. I recognize your name, and I'll let you know as soon as we know something that changes. Carrie says, "Am I Dustin Poirier?" Why not, man? I'm from Louisiana. Oh, RP needs to gain weight. That's funny. Bronx, I don't see your question. Melissa, 100% we take cases in other states. I also live in New York City, and I have an office in New York City, in Manhattan. La Mera Paipa says, a mí me han sacado dos veces de Jena, Louisiana, los mejores 10 de 10. But dude, La Mera, stop getting detained, brother. I'm not trying to pick, but man, stop getting detained. I already got you out twice. I can guarantee you I'm not going to be able to get you out a third time. Dallas, yes, I most certainly would practice in Hawaii as well, especially if you pay for the travel too. No need for the travel, I don't have to, but still. No, Dallas, you cannot jump on my live. What's your question? So, Karis, you need to have that defined before you leave. Did you file a waiver? Have you filed and got a provisional 601A waiver approved before you leave? Okay. It's already approved? If it is, don't sweat it. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be fine. As long as you don't have any criminal history, no lies, nothing like that, I wouldn't sweat it. When's your interview? Sierra Iwara is usually about 8 months. So when is your interview set? Dallas says Canadian citizen extradited to the United States for federal case will end with no time in sentencing. That'd be great. September 15th. Ooh, it's so close. So close. You're gonna be fine. Good evening, guys. If you're just joining, go ahead and click a follow, click a like, share this live. You got some questions about immigration? Let's roll. If you're just in here, like, guys. No, Bronx, I'm not seeing it. Tell me, oh, as a refugee with a pending green card application with approved refugee travel document, can I travel freely? Probably so. I would not sweat it as much, Bronx. There you go. Got your question in. Guys, if you're just joining, click a follow and tell me where you're watching from. You got to put it in there. Sergio, 245 eyes are not as straight as you would think. You know, you got to pay the $1,000 fine, and then you got to prove that presence. That's the big issue. We've gotten many approved over the years, over the last 10, 15 years, but you've got to have that proof, that evidence. New Jersey, love it, guys. Where are you following from? Where are you watching from, guys? You're on the safe side, Karis. Philippines, love it, K Ring. Indiana, wow. Ayan says, I'm 18 years old. I like girl, and she like me, and she's 26 years old, and we're gonna marry. That's your problem. Well, actually, that's not my problem. So I don't know why you think that's my problem. Amal Eunice says Connecticut. I was just in New Canaan a couple of days ago. But Yamal, Ayama Ruwai, I don't know why you said it's my problem. Like, I'm cool with you dating an older woman. I ain't got a problem with that, dude. Seriously. Do you, dude. Do you. You're welcome, Karis. Guys, if you enjoy this live, if you like my stuff, go to my page, go to Rosa Law, or go to my Google profile in Office Park Boulevard in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Click on it and give me a 5-star Google review because that helps my business, guys. All right, man, you're spamming me, so you're gonna get muted. So, Karis, for example, go to my Google profile right now. Just type in Rosas Law Firm. Find it in Baton Rouge in the map section. Click on review. Click on the 5-star, guys. Why not? Why not? It helps my business right in there. David is very helpful. Ramala, thank you for following me. Africa Bell, you can travel with VAWA. The problem is that everybody who doesn't have a green card or U.S. citizenship right now is being detained. That's the issue. Sergio, it's difficult. Yeah, I would do the FOIA. I would not do it on my own. Send me a DM, dude, or call my office, 225-478-1111, or send me an email, david@rosaslaw.com, and we can build up that case, you know? And there's a lot we can do now with Claude and ChatGPT and kind of work on that and build up a better memo. But yeah, we want to be able to get that depending on when the I-130 was filed, whether or not we have to deal with the before and the after. Certainly something we can help you with. Karis, I am in Louisiana. We have an office in New York City and Louisiana, but in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So if you look, you'll find it. It's the address is Office Park Boulevard, and give me a 5-star review. I would love it. Tennessee, love it. Apadai Media, give me a follow. If I exceed my stay, but my green card on 725 does affect me when I apply for citizenship. I don't really understand that question, Bassem. Yes, Apadai, I would think that you can, but I would check with your immigration attorney. And again, guys, I've said this over and over. If you aren't a resident or a United States citizen, I would be weary of travel. I'm just being honest. I mean, that's the honest truth. I think you guys are going to run into a situation where you have issues. Right? I'm not sure that we want to that process. I'm not sure that I would want to have a problem. I know the guys. And that's how it's a bit selfish. It is RP. You probably saw it before. Come on, man. That's not fair. All right, guys. I'm gonna shut it down for the night. We had fun. Got about 5 minutes left. If you're just joining, go ahead and click a follow so you can get my updates. We're gonna start. Listen, RP. I want you to be my accountability, right? We're gonna be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 7:30, we're gonna go live. I'm gonna be announcing that. Try to hold myself accountable for that. Check us out when you can. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays live, talking about immigration, talking about some criminal defense. I would love to talk about the Lindsay trial. 7:30 Century. Yes, sounds fair. Central. Sorry, too much one. My email, guys, is david@rosaslaw.com. ROZAS, my last name, LAW.com. Send me an email at the top, put immigration question, guys. Or you can comment on videos, question, or you can DM, guys. You can click that quote. You can DM me. I've had many clients through social media. It is an easy way to get to you guys. You can also call my office, 225-478-1111. Love you guys. Thank you for the follows. And we'll see you again on Sunday at 7:30. I don't know why I have 108 hours. I set my watch on accident. Sunday at 7:30. Bye, guys.